South African Parliament cannot elect the Speaker of Parliament nor the President without MK Party's 58 MPs. I've been talking about this issue. I did not know that it was this powerful. My God, this is just a big disaster. Imagine that the MK is talking about not coming into the Parliament session, and they do carry 58 of the members that are supposed to be voting either for the President or the Speaker of Parliament. And they are still declining to come and join the House because MK still maintains that elections have been stolen and they really need this issue to be addressed. But family, when you look at this now, this is a big number of individuals, of MPs, who are really supposed to be helping out in the work of Parliament and in decision making. They really make a much difference. Their presence or their absence will cause a serious impact already on the House of Assembly. So if they continue to insist that things are not done well, then it becomes a big problem. What I'm not sure about is what happened during the election, because remember during the election that Jacob Zuma also hinted that elections have not been done well. And of course, it was not only Zuma, there were also other parties like the IFP, there were also parties like the ACT of Magashule. There was also the other party, I remember, of those white guys from down there in around Durban, Cape Town, I think, or Eastern Cape. I'm forgetting the name of that party. That also came complaining about the elections. But the issue was Zuma had said that the IEC must not get to the conclusion of the elections by announcing results if the issue of the rigging, the allegations of rigging, are not addressed. And the leader of the IEC said that issues were going to be handled, issues were going to be looked into on Saturday and the whole of the night before the final announcement is done on Sunday. And then we thought that when Zuma spoke, we were going to see a response from the IEC, probably deciding to say, okay, let's have maybe a day or two of looking into the allegations, because these allegations quite have some amount of evidence. I think you remember I've been showing you quite a number of videos of ballot papers that have been thrown in the dustbins, ballot papers that were found in individuals' houses. We also saw ballot papers that were, ballot boxes that were opened and the seals were broken and things like that. We also saw some individuals stuffing ballot papers, marked ballot papers already in the ballot box. We also saw an individual who was busy voting on behalf of everyone. You still remember the man who was marking the ballots already, and all those things are real. They are on video and they happened. Of course, what we don't know is the magnitude of this kind of ZANU-PF demonic act, how much it affected the elections of South Africa, to what level or to what extent this really became an impact to the total or the final result that was announced by the IEC. But I think to some extent the IEC should have given an attempt, to try and look into this and check whether this was really valid or these arguments still really, held water, so that they could announce a result that could be acceptable by almost everybody. But I don't know, but I don't think that was done. That was really put into consideration by the IEC because of what we saw happening. Because when Jacob Zuma said that, we saw now Bekicele, the police minister, as well as the Minister of Defense, already coming out declaring a war on anybody who wants to disrupt things, and the people are going to jail, and they threatened, they spoke. We saw the ZANU-PF style there. I didn't expect that to happen. I thought that because of the democratic principles in South Africa, I was thinking that they were going to say, okay, we really want to make sure that we look into the issues and the issues are sorted and everything is fine. But they wanted to threaten people. The army already came in, and I don't know why the army would come in, for what reason. If it was the police only that had spoken, it was going to be better. But my conclusion was that this was right, an instruction that came from people like Mbalula, who are so vindictive, and they just instructed that go and say it so strongly. and even probably putting words into their mouth that go and tell them that would put you in jail and things like that, because they didn't want such a process to go through. But now look at where we are now, because if these MPs really make such a difference that in their absence, then things are not going to happen in the House of Assembly, then it's a disaster. It's a disaster already. And how are they going to solve this one now? Then it might end up leading again to the very process that people ran away from. Can you see the problem of doing things in a dictatorial fashion? It derails things, because what you think you have built, you will find that it has collapsed, and you have to go back again and start afresh, and it will be a big problem. It costs time, it has wasted time, and it is costful, because a lot of money has been used already. Then you'll have to be looking for another budget to correct things that you ran away from. So reality at times, it just needs to be looked into. And remember, in the South African elections, these things never used to happen. These allegations of rigging and what, we never used to see them happening in South Africa. They started happening this time around, especially when ZANU-PF interfered in the elections of South Africa. And then we started to see such kind of, claims and allegations beginning to rise. So it's bad. If indeed the absence of the 58 MPs can stop the voting process in the House, I don't know how they are going to go about this one. So I just want you, before we look into the comments, I want you to just look at the video where this issue is being talked about, the MK spokesperson also explaining their position and what exactly is going to be happening, courtesy of Newsroom Africa.
Seems from your papers, I mean, of course, they are in two parts. There's part A and there's part B, but you are largely focusing on part A for part B to be dealt with a little bit later. In part A, you are contending with section 46 and its interpretation, as well as section 51 and its interpretation. One has got to do with whether or not the composition of the National Assembly and the Constitution of the National Assembly are the same thing. What's your understanding and your interpretation?
Now, our lawyers will argue that, we believe that with Mkhonto we Sizwe, in effect, not, being part of the sitting of the National Assembly would effectively lead to the below threshold of 350 members of the National Assembly. And I think what is also key to highlight is that, we've been hearing a lot of people talking about, well, Parliament, National Assembly can't sit in a form of a third, meaning 133, to then continue with this business and effectively correct.
Yeah.
We're saying that in our papers, we don't believe that's true, because in order for a National Assembly to sit and exist and be duly constituted as per the Constitution, they need to meet the minimum threshold of 350.
Yeah.
And obviously the maximum of 400. Now, with that, you cannot, if you don't have a duly constituted or composed a National Assembly, in our view, then go about the business of the National Assembly. And even if it means you have to, correct, you cannot correct because, you're not yet duly constituted. So that is the angle, in effect, that you'll have seen in our papers that our attorneys have actually unpacked there.
So you dispute the fact that the allocation of who's going to that assembly has already been determined by the IEC. And your argument is that those are designated representatives because they have not sworn in, taken the oath, and therefore they are not members. Am I correct?
In effect, that's the view that's coming from our lawyers, that those are candidates. And remember, we've been talking about candidates that have not been sworn in as members of the National Assembly.
And there are then those of the view that the number doesn't have to be, as you say. There's nothing that would stop those who are there from being sworn in and carrying on with the business, and members of the MK can be sworn in later.
Well, the question is, would the National Assembly be duly constituted and composed? Because if you remove Mkhonto we Sizwe that would effectively lead to 342 seats, which still falls below the threshold. So how would they go about their business to even correlate with a National Assembly that's not duly constituted or composed?
So there we have it. That's the issue. The issue is about the composition of the House of Assembly. How many MPs must be sitting to be able to constitute a number that would make a decision that stands? There must be a number of MPs sitting in the House to make a move, to make a motion, and to make an election. So in the event that these guys are out, like they are saying, the number will be less than 350 that is allowed by the Constitution, whether it's the Constitution of the country as well as the Constitution of the House of Parliament itself. So there becomes a very, very serious problem. And this is the problem that we've always been talking about. And this is why I was saying, I think the attitude that we saw or after many parties complained about some kind of rigging, some kind of shenanigans that were seen within the voting process, that should have been addressed, because now it might end up derailing the whole process, and people have to come down again to square one and have to be starting from scratch, you see. So because you could find that maybe the complaints were just coming from maybe some 2, 3, 4, 5 maybe voting districts. And if they had just said, okay, let's look into those voting districts, it was not going to be taking a whole day to just go and maybe do a recount or whatever it was that could have been done, or maybe nullify that voting district and then set up a new date for a new voting that could happen only in a voting district. That could have solved the whole problem, because now it's now at national level. It has just stopped everything from the top to the bottom. Imagine if it can stop the vote, the election of the president, then what happens? Can you see that South Africa is in a serious fix here? It's a bad situation, I'm telling you. Things are not right. Things are not right. And this time around, it won't be only for the ANC. It's for everyone. Because the government will never start to work if indeed this is how things stand. If what the MK spokesperson is talking about is the real deal, then we have a serious problem, a serious one. And we are watching to see how this impasse is going to be dissolved, because it still remains a thorn in the issue, in the flesh. It still remains, the elephant in the room here, and it's bad news. So we are still watching to see how things are going to unfold, but it doesn't look good from this point of view right now as we are looking at it. Gogomaure says MK Party is a force the country will face another uprising if they don't handle it well. We pray for peace in resolving this issue. Yes, this definitely should be our prayer. We need to continue praying definitely for this, because it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good at all. It doesn't look good. We need to do something about it. Gogongube says this all was caused by ANC. Exactly. And ANC was also, believing their brother. The brother says, "Hi, my election, hi, matota, siyarika tina, singarika fela kuyahamba lokho." And then they said, right, let's manisi zame that, and then it ended up being what it is today. So Chatufa haunyepi zvakuputitsana kuzanu hashtag God is in it. Definitely. Yeah, we are going to be talking about what is happening in ZANU-PF. I have quite a number of issues that we are going to be talking to. We'll talk about Wicknell. We are going to be talking about Chuenga. We are going to be talking about the other accusations that are coming around Chigumba, also enrolled in a lot of corruption. It's going to be interesting. By that time, we cross over to the main channel. Take Moses, my brother Chatufa, I need your email to discuss the Botswana trip suit. I want to send you one. Okay. Let me put the email. The email is here. Chatufa TV Productions at gmail.com. It's very simple. Chatufa TV Productions with an S. Productions with an S at gmail.com. That is the email, and you can contact me on that one. Thank you very much. At first, I thought you were joking, but I can see that you are really serious about it. Thank you very much. May you be blessed for doing that. Fadzai says, morning Chatufa, vese akapuwa mota na Chifayo Hanzi, no payment is done up to now. Rumors is saying return them back. Yeah. My sister, if this is going to be true, do you know the disaster one-on-one? It's time for what? It's time for exposure. I'm going to hunt for that, and then I'll search from our sources. If I get the version of what you are talking about, I'll be bringing a show, and maybe we can make it our 7:30 show that one to talk about that. So I'll look into it and try and get the whole story. Tobias N says ngazubani ndiwo vakatikanganisira pama-elections ekuZIMU last year. Say that again. Our family, we have 98 people watching, and we only have less than 10 people that have commented. Okay, at least let us just say peace for South Africa. Just type peace. If you wish peace for South Africa, please, the 98 people that are on the show, please just type peace. Because you have not said anything. Maybe you did not want to greet Chatufa, or maybe you did not have anything to say, but at least to say peace, because we are saying peace for South Africa. We want South Africa to have peace. We don't want this impasse to end up leading into war, into eruptions, uprisings, and revolts. These will derail South Africa. We don't want to see South Africa going down. South Africa and South Africans are our brothers. We want peace in South Africa. So where you are, just write peace for South Africa. Peace for South Africa. I can see more than 90 peace for South Africa coming. Thank you very much. Velelen Dube calls 202. Thank you so much. Tafazo, thank you. Fadzai, yes, thank you for evidence. Thank you very much. I'm seeing them coming. We wish peace for South Africa, because war will take South Africa to the doldrums of where Zimbabwe finds itself today. We don't want to see any other Southern African country going to the situation of Zimbabwe, because we are now going to fish out Zimbabwe out of where ZANU-PF has taken it. So we don't want to be rescuing Zimbabwe, then another country goes to the situation of Zimbabwe. Because you know what? It will be very, very interesting. Let me tell you this scenario. It is going to be very interesting to find all SADC countries operating at least above average. If all African SADC countries would be above average, I'm telling you, it will be very, very good, especially those that share the borders. It will be very, very interesting, because you won't be having problems of thinking that this one wants to come and take my job. This one, why is he here in our country? You see, something like that. Maybe they've come to take this or to benefit or what, because everyone will be good in their own country. So we can be able to visit each other. We can be able to join up companies. If I have a company in Zimbabwe, someone has a company in South Africa, we can merge and come up with one company that we say we are taking to Malawi, and then it goes there and things like that. It will be very, very good. We see international business people coming together. So we don't wish any country going down. We want every country to become better. So as we take Zimbabwe from ZANU-PF, we want to see South Africa rising, Botswana rising, Zambia rising, Malawi rising, Angola rising, DRC rising, something like that. So this is our prayer. So peace for South Africa. Thank you so much, family, for all the prayers of peace for the land of South Africa. We love South Africa. We love South Africans. May the Lord guide them, guide the politicians to come out with a solution that would help the nation of South Africa. Otherwise, for those that have never subscribed to this channel, please subscribe, like, and share so you can continue to receive notification each time that we are live. Family, love you so much. I love the support. I love the love you give me. You see, I love to be loved. So continue being with us. I'm going to be coming with more and more of the shows. If I am done, I'll be crossing over to the main channel, Chatufa Television Production, where we are going to be touching more issues on Zimbabwe. Thank you so much for joining me. You are blessed.